Just want to make sure it is live. I feel like shit.
Monday, happy days. Wednesday, happy days. It's just one of those happy days. The weekend comes, the cycle comes. It's just one of those days where you don't want to wake up. Everything is everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you want to justify ripping someone's head off. No human contact, and if you interact, your life is on contract. Your best bet is
knock it off, you scumbucket.
it's just one of those days. It's just one of those happy days. It's just one of those happy days. It's just one of those happy days. The weekend comes, the cycle runs, ready to extend. It's just one of those days, feeling like a freight train. First one to complain, leaves with the bloodstain. Damn right, I'm a maniac. You better shoot, cause I'm fucking up your program. And you go stuck up, you just locked up. Next in line to get fucked up. Your best bet is to stay away, motherfucker. It's just
I'm losing my cool.
it's all about happy days. It's just one of those happy days. It's just one of those happy days. The weekend comes, the cycle runs, ready to extend.
Yo, everybody. How's it going? Did you miss me? Something's happening to the farm.
My day keeps going this way and this way.
I'm gonna pop you one so you'll stop playing games.
Give me something great. Give me something great. I hope you know I'm like a chainsaw. A chainsaw. A motherfucking chainsaw. What? So come and get it.
What we got here is a case of mistaken identity, you know? See, now this here,
Not Robert.
And that will do for the opening intro. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How is everyone doing? My name is Chief Moody, of course, and welcome back to the Mood of the Nation podcast with episode 88. Episode 88 live on Thursday, the 14th of July. Now, I know our detractors might look at that and think, oh, it's a dog whistle. It's a dog whistle. Listen, look, just hear me out, right? I'm pretty sure that's only a coincidence. Okay, let's not jump the gun here with regard to that. Okay, let's. But anyway, oh man, I'm fucking shaking right now. I don't know why, because I've done this before. I don't know whether or not if maybe it's nerves or anything like that, but I'm actually feeling like really just overwhelmed with happiness at the moment because I'm back. I know people might think, well, that's just fucking silly. I mean, you're doing a live stream. I know that, but I think it's because it's just been a long time since I last did a stream. I think it was maybe the last time, maybe just about a month or so, but I'm back. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I am back. Mood of the Nation is back. Regular scheduled content, mainly live streaming, is back. The Chief is fucking back. Yes. Let's have a look here. Jacob J. The last Mood of the Nation was a month ago, but it feels like it's been 3. Well, see, that's the thing with the internet. Yes, it has been about a month, but within a month of internet time, that's definitely a long, long time. So if you would imagine if I was going for maybe like a year or maybe 2 years, I'm not entirely too sure, but yeah, within that time frame, internet-wise, it's definitely a long, long time ago. But anyway, let's have a look and see who's in the chat, and then I will bring in my guest for this fine evening. Of course, Jacob J. I'm assuming 47, 46, but just showing it to that. Fair enough. Welcome back. I appreciate you coming along for the show. We have Kitchen Skillet. We have Streaky Bacon. Inshallah, Streaky Bacon, of course. How you doing? Brum Al, good to have you back. Thank you very much. It's good to be back, Brum Al. Thank you very much. Aunt Sally is with us. Missed you. Well, thank you very much, Aunt Sally. I also really enjoyed your appearance on PA Talk last night. Really good episode last night it was. Who else is with us? Who else? Rory Herbert is with us in the chat. How you doing, Rory? Thanks very much for watching the show once again. English Rose is with us. How you doing, English Rose? Missed everyone here, of course. So it has been a long time. English Sailor is with us. How you doing, sir? Canny Henny, how you doing? Well, English Sailor, if you're a guy or a woman. I'm not entirely too sure. But anyway, good to have you back. Hello, everyone. Good to have Mood of the Nation back. It indeed is. I'm just sorry. I'm just like a loss for words at the moment. I'm just filled to the brim of just. I'm shaking. I'm happy, and it's great to be back. It's great to be back. Gamma Sandwich is with us at last. Indeed, at last. It's been a while. Daniel Doom is with us. He's back. Indeed, I am back with new graphic as well. Well, I think it's only just for the thumbnail, and maybe there might be something else coming along later. I'm not entirely too sure. But anyway, we have Laura Taylor in the chat with us. How you doing, Laura? Thanks very much for watching the show. And also, maybe Sam, if he's watching as well. I'm not entirely too sure. But anyway, thank you very much for sharing the stream, that of course being Sam, and also for watching the stream. Greatly appreciate it. And also we have Joe Marsh is with us, and Roscoe is with us as well. Thank you all very much for tuning into tonight's episode. Greatly appreciate that. And you know what, something that I also need to do as well, like another drastic change. Other Sam in the chat. Afternoon, Sam Melia, how you doing? Thank you very much for watching the show. Another thing I'm also going to do, a bit of a drastic change. Well, I don't know if you want to call it a drastic change, but the camera quality might be in potato vision, so I do apologize for the lack of quality with the camera, but I'm going to do this. Wait a minute. English Sailor, I am a man. Fair enough. No chance. Who is this guy? I recognize the voice. Long time. It's been a long time. No chance. And also, I really do like your content as of late, especially the one you did last night about Lauren Southern's new video, well, documentary, whatever you want to call it. I still don't have full trust with Lauren Southern, to be quite honest, but it was a great video nonetheless. No chance. Keep up the great work, my friend. What was I going to do? Oh yes, right, I'm going to do this. Right, there we go. So yes, the camera quality is not the best. I'm literally using my built-in camera within my laptop, so maybe at some point in the future I might actually get like an actual decent webcam, but we'll definitely see with that. Who knows? Of course, I don't know why the color is meant to be this, well, not bad, but still. Aunt Sally, I bet you were okay with it. No worries. Let's do something else. 1 second. I'm going to have a quick drink of my tea. It's not Grandma Talor's, unfortunately, but I'm definitely using this mug here, Soap Not Hate, which I believe is from our Claire's company, Clean and Pure, I believe it's called. Let's see. Oh, I know this isn't my normal room where I normally do my live stream. This is just like a living room I'm just using at the moment, just for today's episode. Maybe another say another time. I'm not entirely too sure, but ignore the wallpaper. It does not represent me in any way, shape, or form. So, but anyway, Sam Melia, treacherous dog. I'm sorry. Well, when I get money again, I'll definitely see if I can order another batch of Grandma Talor's tea. I'll definitely will need to do that, because it's not just me that's using it. I've also noticed that some of the tea bags have been gone, and I'm like, where the hell is all the rest of the tea bags? And turns out my little brother has been drinking it, not realizing what it is or like what type of tea or brand it is or anything like that at all. But anyway, so but I'll definitely see if I can get a copy of Grandma Talor's tea. Copy that. We were the original living room stream. Oh, okay, for our copycat, right? Look, it's only just for today. It's going to be live in my regular living room. Okay, I'm not like copying Tea Time with Sam and Laura or anything like that at all. Anyway, what time is it? Oh no, your brother's caught the races. Wow. I mean, sure, that might be a good thing, but you know, whatever. So anyway, almost 10 minutes into the show itself, let me introduce you guys to my guest for this evening. So not only is it the first episode back after a month gone, if I might as well get into that real quick. So long story short, I started like a new job kind of thing. I know this is like kind of like a long running joke throughout the show. I keep having like job after job kind of thing, but it's because of agency work, which I know is not really normally the best, but sometimes they would require you to stay for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month. And it really just depends on the job itself. But recently I've got like another job that's been quite consistent as of late, which is good. So I just thought I would just focus on that and then not do any more live streaming. Even then, if I wasn't doing any more work, I was streaming consistently from January and onwards with no break whatsoever. There might have been a couple of times I might have stopped because of other things that was out of my control. But other than that, it was literally just like boom, 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 episode. So I thought maybe for that I'll actually take a break for a week or 2 weeks. Well, of course, it ended up becoming a month, but that's being like because of work purposes. I was mainly just focusing specifically on that. I would still maybe at times do a bit of activism here and there, which of course I'm still am to this day. But when it comes to online content creating, say like Mood of the Nation, I would just thought I would take a break off of that. But anyway, everything's so sorted down now, or settled down, I should say. I'm back in the game with Mood of the Nation, episode 88. And let's get right into the episode in and of itself. So I do apologize for the long time of absence. I know many people, including Joe Marsh, I think Streaky Bacon was one of them, Gammon Sandwich. A lot of people ask me, oh, when are you coming back to do Mood of the Nation? And I'm like, well, maybe next week, maybe the week after. I'm not entirely too sure. It was just because I was busy doing other things, including work, as I mentioned just now. But that being said, I'm back full-time. Well, I wouldn't say full-time doing YouTube or anything like that at all, but I'm back doing content creating, especially doing Mood of the Nation. Anyway, let's get right into the episode in and of itself. Let me actually introduce everyone today, my guest this evening. So not only is it the first episode back after a month absence of the Mood of the Nation podcast, but tonight I thought maybe this might be the perfect episode to bring forth this guest for this fine evening. Now, this gentleman needs no introduction whatsoever. This man I've met back at the Falkirk Wheel. I think it was maybe at the end of 2020, I think it was, or something like that. Maybe the start of 2021. But I met him at the Falkirk Wheel. This was like me just becoming more of like an ethno-nationalist and getting into becoming a member of a patriotic alternative. I think I was. I don't know if I was a fully vetted member then or if I wasn't, but that's when I became part of PA. And that's where I pretty much first met Kenny, the guest for this evening. I was told, of course, he was a former member of the British National Party, which, of course, at that point, I was like, ooh, the BNP, ooh, scary. But no, I got a chance to talk with them from then. And, of course, and even since then, great guy to get to know. Definitely gives a lot of good lessons for a lot of us within PA Scotland, and I would definitely say he's definitely like a good mentor figure when it comes to fellow nationalists, and definitely is not afraid to speak his mind. Especially if you've seen his speech at the recent PA conference, I would definitely say it was definitely the best speech of the night. Everyone else's was tremendous, but his speech, I think everyone would agree, his speech was definitely the highlight of that event. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you for this fine evening the Mr. Kenny Smith. I'll just bring him in just now. Hello, Kenny. Can you hear us just now?
I can indeed. Thank you very much for that introduction. I was chuckling very much through a lot of it.
No worries.
I do remember our first meet. By the way, you were very late.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was technically there way before everyone else because I thought I would be like kind of on time. But yeah, I think when I was trying to look for everyone, that might have came the idea of how I end up becoming late or something like that. But anyway, we did meet up at that point. We did meet up eventually at that point. So.
Yeah. It was another sunny day in Scotland like we've had today.
I'm pretty sure it was sunny. Yeah, I remember it being pretty cold during that day, but because that was like maybe December coming up to January or something like that. But anyway, yeah.
I remember we started off the walk and there's a little incline, and it was really slippery. It kind of it like had a quick freeze and the puddles were a sheet of ice, but it was a lovely bright day. But yeah, that was a pretty treacherous start to that walk.
It was good. That was good. So how have you been, Kenny, as of late? I might have seen. I can't remember the last time I've seen you. Actually, maybe it was like a long while ago, or maybe
Saturday morning. Last Saturday morning.
Oh, at the Cairn. Oh, right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I must have been like half asleep.
Your memory's worse than mine.
Yeah, well, I think I must have been like half asleep at that point. I'm just like, oh, hiking. It's like,
Well, I did fly in for a couple of hours, like between, I think it was at 7 a.m. and 9 in the morning. And you were already trying to warm yourself beside a wee a fire pit or something like that. And I think you were the first jock up, weren't you?
I believe I was, yeah.
Yeah. You were the first man I spoke to on camp when I came in.
That's right. Yeah, I think even when I first came there on Friday afternoon, I think it was maybe just after 4. I think I might have been like the first person to crack open a drink, because everyone else was just like, okay, we'll just wait and see who's gonna be the first person to drink, and of course, me being the Scotsman, be the first one to actually pop a like a Copperberg or something like that. But
yeah, live up to the stereotype of the Scots. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, I did. Well, I think I did say to someone at the camp, well, there's a stereotype of the Scots for a reason, and there you go. But yeah, it was really fun being at the camp for the first time. I'll definitely come back for next year, for 2023. I think like maybe looking back at it, I think maybe I wish I would have went up to all the other regional groups and maybe taught them a bit more, but I was just staying within my own group kind of thing. And I don't know whether or not if maybe that's to do with like a tribal sort of thing, like Scottish and all of that. But no, I'll definitely see if I could give that a try. Maybe come out with Michelle a little bit more, speak to more other people.
Yeah, I'd thoroughly recommend that, mate, because that for me is my favorite thing about these national meetups, and even when you do like regional meetups and all the different branches to get together, it's getting other people's stories and their experience and stuff like that. I love it. I mean, like I say, I only was able to do a flying visit to this camp, and I basically went round all the ROs just to get a wee chat. How's everybody? And I don't know. I spoke to loads of people. I can't believe I managed to speak to so many people in such a short period of time. But yeah, that's what I love about camp. It's chatting with all the other people and finding out the wee things that work for them in their regions, and some of the crack that goes on. And yeah, I think I caught Mark and Laura's stream the other night, and they were spot on. The camaraderie and just the sense of community there is amazing. You can relax. I mean, I rolled in and just jumped out of my car and left it. My keys were still in the ignition. And it did feel like you were in an Ethel village. But I do that when I'm back home in Skye as well. And Claire still tells me off for it. She's come from Slough originally, and still can't believe that people don't lock everything down. But yeah, that's what it felt at the camp. We just you're amongst your own kind, and you just relax. And yeah, I would definitely recommend having a good circulate.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely what I've noticed again during this camp, like a high trust society. You don't need to worry about things getting stolen or anything like that at all. You can literally just leave it wherever you want to, and then it'll be fine. No any qualms about it whatsoever, which is great. Another thing I really did enjoy about the camp, I think it was the Saturday evening. So we all did the hike, and it was just, I mean, I've done hikes before, but that one did take quite a toll on me. Quite, I mean, okay, it wasn't like bad, but I think maybe after the halfway mark, that's when it started to get a bit strenuous, if that's the right word for it. It get a lot more hotter. Like I did felt like the sunburn was really creeping in. I'm just like, oh. Even I think Mark even pointed out towards the end, he was like, "You're really glowing," and I'm like, "What do you mean with that?" But he called me fed. He's like, "No," he's like you look like you're bright red, like you're just completely bright red from the sunburn. Even Steve Blake was like, "Oh, he is like he's really bright red." I'm like, "Oh no, should have brought sunscreen with this." Like, no.
Yeah.
But
we jocks are just not used to the sun. That's it.
That's right.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, my face is rather tanned now, but I go like that. The first few days, I just go like a lobster, and then I come back. But yeah, and I always say that I'm originally from the Isle of Lewis, which is the most northwesterly island, and coming down to Skye is almost tropical. So going down.
Perfect. Excellent. I was just gonna say as well. I think there was a cut-off bit with your connection. I don't know if maybe. I mean, at the moment it's fine now, but I think we'll just keep it. Wait and see if the quality will still be the same with that. But anyway, but yeah, that's definitely like a good point with that. Yeah. Saturday evening, my favorite part actually of the entire camp, I will say, was actually during the Tug of War, which I'm going to say this right now. I know Sam and everyone else in Yorkshire are watching this. Well, maybe Sam and Laura, but Scotland won. All right. This is not like a bit of a bias, but look, I think let's just be brutally honest here. Scotland won it. I mean, Yorkshire did really well. They did. I'll definitely commend them on that. Eastern, yeah, they participated. That's the main thing. The other ones, I mean, yeah, I mean, but no. In all seriousness, the Tug of War was actually a lot of fun, and I would definitely, if there's going to be more of that for next year's camp, or even any other event, I would definitely be up for it again, because that was just a lot of fun doing that. No name in the chat, just real quick. I heard the Scots cheated. We did not cheat. That is complete bullshit.
Big lie.
The Scots would never lie. We'll never cheat whatsoever. Like that's blasphemy for people to make that accusation. So
I was gutted I missed it, and I did think earlier on in the day that you probably could have done with my considerable weight, but it turns out you didn't. But everybody's got a buzz from that. I spoke to lots of people, in the aftermath, and they said that was one of the highlights of the camp, because everybody just got together. They were cheering on each other, and the sense of camaraderie and competition was just second to none. So yeah, that I think that was a fantastic thing from the fitness club guys, and definitely contributed to the atmosphere of the place. And yeah, I did hear from everybody apart from Yorkshire that Scotland were the winners.
That's true. Yeah, it's very true. Bill Athling in the chat. Hello, Bill. How you doing? Mean Pim, the prop at the back, then Chief Moody holding it together. Oh, that's right. Yeah, because Mean Pim was the one who was like the anchor of the whole thing, and then I was in front of him, because I figured, well, if Mean Pim was big, I would be like the second biggest kind of thing. But yeah, so we did that, and then it would be, say, everyone else be in front kind of thing. I don't know if Sai was like in front of me, or if it was maybe further along, but that's how we planned it out. And but yeah, I think that's the reason for Scotland's victory. But anyway,
did you put effort into your strategy beforehand? Like,
well, I mean, there were talks about like we're gonna do like he hove, like throughout the thing. When they pull, we'll try and pull the same time. But then we'll also see if we can like pull if when they stop, kind of thing. So there is a bit of strategy behind it when it comes to some of the Scottish guys. I know I can't really say their names, obviously, because they're not public figures and whatnot, but I know mainly some of them from the PA Fitness Club with PA Scotland that were very like, okay, guys, we need to do it this way, we need to do it that way, this and that. It was very planned out, very strategic, which, of course, you need something like that for like a team anyway, which is brilliant. I think, though, the highlight of the whole thing for me, I don't know if people talked about this in other streams, but it might have been mentioned on PA Talk last night with Sai, Mean Pim, and I think also Aunt Sally. I think the highlight for me, and I think what was the best thing about this whole camp, and why I would think Mark would say it as closest to being like an ethno state at that camp, was the Tug of War game between Sai and the kids. Sai was talking about how he was like, being like kind of like being quite like a douchebag, but obviously in a playful manner type of thing. But it's just, what was great about it was the laughter, the camaraderie, like just the sheer, you could really feel the sense of sheer enjoyment from everybody. Like everyone felt very happy being there. It wasn't like, well, it's PA related, I'm part of the group, so I might as well I need to be part of this sort of thing. No, it was like everyone seemed really happy to be there, and I think that was like the best part about it, in my opinion. So, and hopefully that level of I don't know how you want to call it, but hopefully something like that might be brought back again for next year's camping event. But we'll definitely wait and see with that. So
I think something like that's definitely going to stay in the program, and I think by the sound of it, there'll be even more things on that can be done communally like that, and get some of that interregional competition and banter going, because that's what brings people together, isn't it? All that.
Oh yeah.
That, that kind of rivalry. I know there was banter between the Scots and Eastern about the level of leafleting getting done and things like that. So every region has bragging rights for something, and that's the cool thing. It's not all me and you're from Scotland, and we talk up Scotland all the time, but we do recognise that other regions do things better than us, but we just won't admit it too often. And but that's PA. We've got quality right up and down the country, and it's fantastic.
Yes, definitely. Right then, we're almost like half an hour into the show already, which I can't believe it's been that long. But I think overall with the camp, great experience. Definitely will come back next year. I know I keep saying this over and over again through posts and other streams and whatnot. I'll definitely make sure to bring better bed equipment for the tent and also sunscreen. Maybe also some food. I know Sai was pointing that out as well. But anyway, let's move on to the main topic at hand here, which is about Claymore Books, and also the brand new release of How It Was Done by Stephen Smith. So, Kenny, I know this is something you talked about before with Claymore Books, with the first release of Hammer of the Patriots. As a matter of fact, hold on, just wait 1 second. I do have a copy of that, although it's not from Claymore Books, but I remember I got this book last year at the first ever PA Scotland conference. So this is Hammer of the Patriot. Now, I know you guys did your own version of Hammer of the Patriot for Claymore Books. Now, in my hand is the one I bought last year, and what Sai told me is this is a lot more of an American take on the book itself. So I'll start off with the one that was released by Claymore Books. Is it pretty much the same exact book, or is it maybe slightly different with a more British take of it, if you will?
So our Claymore Books, there we are, book, it is almost the same. What we've done for this is fixed a few of the typos and the grammatical errors in it, and also changed it from American English into British English, into proper English, as we'd say. Pretty rich coming from a Scottish guy. So it is a fantastic book. I really enjoyed the PA Book Club review that Mark and Laura, Natty and Sally did, because they hit the nail on the head pretty much with everything. I first heard of it from Charlie, who told me, I was quizzing him how he was so good at debating some of these anti-whites, and I loved his style of putting them down and mocking them, and not losing his cool, and just he came in and he dominated some of these chats against some pretty aggressive people, and outside of Mark and Laura, I hadn't really seen that anywhere else, and I says, so I quizzed him about how he'd developed those skills, and he referenced Hammer of the Patriot. So I really want to get a copy, and the only place I could find it online was a PDF, and I really hate PDFs. I'm one of these people who bought a Kindle when they came out, and the fad wore off after a few months because I just hate reading these electronic things. I'd rather have a physical copy that I can take in my bed, go out camping with, sit in the garden with, all that kind of thing. So we did try to get a hold of the author. He's completely off the map. So we've produced this copy ourselves. We had actually did with the PA Scotland Book Club. We made copies just for that. And then that's where the copy you've got. So we then after months of persevering trying to get a hold of this fellow, we didn't get it. So we launched it, and in the preface we've got on it, we have got a call to Charles Chappell saying, look, get in touch with us when you see this, and we'll sort you out, we'll square you out. It's just such an important work that we think it needs a wider audience. It needs to be in the public domain so that patriots who want to challenge the anti-whites can learn the skills in it. Because when we did it in the PA Scotland Book Club, it went down an absolute storm. Every one of the guys got skills from it. Our book club is not one of these cheese and wine things, where you get a whole pile of lassies together, they all get tanked up, come back home 3 hours later, hardly spoke about the book, but they've been talking about their boyfriends and husbands and stuff. For us, the book club is totally educational, and I've been very strict in it, where if you miss 2 weeks in a row, you're out. If you don't do the reading, you're out. We do set homework sometimes, and sometimes it's been write an essay. For Hammer of the Patriot, we challenged our guys to go onto social media, onto Twitter, onto Facebook, and put some of the stuff they learned from the book into action. And we had some brilliant successes, absolute classics. And some of them were stuff straight out of the book. Other ones were things that they'd adapted from what they learned in the book. So it told me that not only were they able to repeat the stuff in the book, but they'd actually learned the skills. And that's the most important thing, because not every response in the book is going to be perfect for every situation. But if you know the technique and you know what you're doing, you can absolutely smash it. And they did. And the other funny thing that we did was we've got a few characters in the book and in the book club, and they were able to do accents. So we would break the book up, and somebody would do the arguments, and somebody would do the rebuttals, and the people doing the liberal arguments. You can imagine what accents and voices they put on. It was it was really one of the highlights of the club. So yeah, for me, it was just too good for us not. When we finally bit the bullet and decided to create Claymore Books, it was a natural choice for being the first release, because we wanted to be a business that helped the community, that provided resources that were going to be useful. There's loads of nationalist books out there telling you about the history of things and origins of things, but we wanted something that's a practical help to our people, and Hammer of the Patriot is exactly that. It's just it's fantastic, and it is available on claymorebooks.org.uk, and I'm going to give you the world exclusive, Chief. How it was done is now live on the Claymore Books website. However, I have a busy schedule in the next 3 days, so any orders that come in today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, will not get processed until Monday. But it is there. I don't know if I'll put the link into the chat for yourself, and you can add it into the where it needs, and it is available. Like I say, it won't be getting distributed just until Monday. But the new book, How It Was Done, is another one that we covered in the book club, and we covered that one because it does teach lessons about community politics. And I spoke to Stephen Smith, the author, who was the organizer for Burnley BNP, the very first organizer for Burnley BNP. And he took a branch that had nobody, just himself and another fella who'd gone to a BNP annual conference, and decided there then, after listening to John Tyndall, that he was going to form a branch. And within 2 years, they had councillors elected. And by the time, a few years more had passed, they had 8 councillors. That's incredible. Just from hard work, perseverance, and community politics. And I'll show you that this is the original book that Stephen produced with John Tyndall.
And just to say, Kenny, just real quick, I remember seeing that book and that cover. I think it was at the one of the PA conferences. I think it was the one last year in autumn.
Yeah.
Now, I remember seeing that because I think that was something for the PA Scotland book club. Now, of course, I wasn't part of the book club myself, although that was a book that's been passed around by some of the guys who were actual members of that club. And I remember just thinking, oh, that seems like a pretty interesting book. Like, what's it about? I think, of course, from what I've heard, it's about Stephen Smith, of course, part of the BNP, and of course, as you talked about just now, about the what's been talked about in the book. So I thought, well, that sounds like a pretty interesting book. That's something I definitely would like to check out myself. So is there any chance I can maybe have a look at it myself in terms of getting a copy, whatnot? So I think maybe for those who haven't read the book, I think maybe this is a perfect time for people to buy a copy themselves, which I even put the link in the chat just now and also pinned it. So for people who are interested, the link is in the chat just now. And if you want to have a look at yourselves, then there's the link for it, of course. So, yeah.
Yeah, Stephen, of course, and some of the old Burnley fellows came to that conference back in Cumbria, and he'd taken his last supply of these books, so that we could use them in the book club. That was fantastic, and after getting the feedback from I knew it was a superb book. It's why I included in the curriculum. But the feedback I got from the students in book club made me even more convinced. We have to get this out to a wider audience. This is another learning tool for our people. And I spoke to Stephen. Have you got any more? He led me to the folks at Heritage and Destiny. They had like 6 copies left. So I said, right, I'll buy them, send them up, and give them to the team. But that's it. It's all done. And Stephen basically said to me, look, if you think these books are worthwhile, let's get it back into circulation. He supplied some new pictures, extra pictures that we've added, because we couldn't source every single one of the pictures that was originally in it, but we have replicated them. They've come out really good. But we've added a few more in just for extra value. There's a new preface from myself, and as soon as they're ready to go, we'll get them shipped out on Monday. And I do believe that political activists in this country, particularly PA people who are focused in their community, really do need to read this book, because it tells you how to work your community, how to work the media, and to really focus in particular areas. And it's inspiring as well, just to think that a few people can actually start winning back community, and that's the reality of the nationalist struggle. We are still fairly small in number. Despite PA becoming the premier political organisation in the UK at the moment in terms of our activism, we're still small fry. We've got a long way to go and a lot to grow. But what we've got is dedicated activists who work extremely hard, and we're getting success just in that alone. So imagine if we had 10 times that number of dedicated activists. And I'm a bit reticent to use the S word, but I will say it. The slackers. If we could just convert another one, if we, if one of our friends would just do a little more, a couple of hours a week, we would be, twice as big as we are now, because that's all it takes. If we all share the burden, do a little bit, and this book even highlights that for me, because Stephen back then was talking about the same things. We the other BNP members were talking about the same things as well. But we just, if you believe these things, if you see what's going on and you're not happy about it, get up and do something. Don't go onto the internet and jump in a chat group and moan about it. Get involved and do something. And it doesn't have to be a really public thing. As I see folk in the chat here, no chance does amazing work. He's not a public face. He does amazing work and amazing IRL work. So it can be done. There is no excuses for anybody at all. We need people to just do a wee bit. And this book, hopefully, will inspire a few more people to do it. And if they read Hammer of the Patriot as well, they'll not only get confidence to go out with Steve Smith, they'll get confidence to stand the ground and argue their case for Hammer of the Patriot. So I think I couldn't be more happy with the first 2 books that we've produced. It's really, really exciting. And the next book should be Grandma Towler's Cakes and Bakes, which should be a fantastic one for the community. Maybe not for my waistline, but it will be for the community. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, I definitely would recommend people getting the books just now, especially Hammer of the Patriot. If you want to get better at debates, I mean, I'll even say this. I actually wish I got this book round about, say, 2021. So, because I don't know if people remember, but I had my first ever debate back in April with a leftist by the name of Quick Sticks Productions. So our debate was about the idea of the Atom State is a good idea or not. Tail Feature was the moderator for the debate. I mean, at the time, I thought it was all right. I think there were parts of it I could have done a bit better when it comes to the debate, but I think overall people thought that maybe I did quite well with it. But looking at this book just now, I actually wish I actually had this. This could have been like something that could have helped me out a bit more with it. But I have it now, so maybe in the future, if I get into a debate with someone, or for anyone for that matter who gets in a debate with a leftist or a SIFMAT, anyone who's not really on board with our side, I definitely would say that book, especially if you order it from Claymore Books, definitely would be a very beneficial for a lot of people in that case. Now, I was just about to ask you in terms of like future books. So you got Hammer of the Patriot, you got How It Was Done by Stephen Smith, and of course you got the Grandma Towler's T book coming out. Is there any other future books in the works for Claymore Books?
Yes, loads.
Oh.
Actually, more than I can deal with at the moment. I've got a day job, I've got a family, I do a ton of PA stuff. So Claymore is one of these things. While I'm very passionate about it, has to squeeze into that routine. But one of the projects really that I'm extremely excited about is that the John Bean, the Great Patriot who sadly passed away not so long ago, his family and his trusted comrade Bill Bailey as well have given us permission to republish his titles, which is absolutely fantastic. He did Many Shades of Black, which is an absolutely fascinating book that covers a massive period within the movement. He also did a book, 10 Miles from Anywhere, which is basically like the story of a Suffolk village, a historical record. And he did a book that was called, if I can remember right, Blood in the Square, which was like a nationalist novel, and also another one called Trial of the Viking Finger, which was another novel, which I believe Steve Blake was actually a proofreader for at the time when he first published it. So that's great. So that's four other titles that we've got in the pipeline that are all kind of very different from what we have now. So I think they'll be brilliant additions. There are a few other titles that we're looking at. We are trying in the main to look for British books. Mm-hmm. That's our focus. We're trying to help the struggle here. I don't want to give too much detail away, but we have got a few irons in the fire with some people, seeing if we can resurrect some ones that we know are completely out of print, and the only books that are available are going for sale for £200 on some of these other kind of secondhand book sites, and I think that's ridiculous. If there are a book that's going to help the cause and help the movement, we want to make it available at an affordable price to people. So we're trying to, get into contact with the people who either wrote them or published them. And sometimes it's very hard. I've got an extensive library, but when you go to the books, they don't give a lot away. So it's quite hard. So trying to use old connections and old comrades to get in touch with some of these people. There's also a few big books dealing with the racial question, and that I think that they'll be out pretty, within the next year for sure as well. So yeah, we've got a lot, of books to go through. We're also very much open to any. We know there's a lot of great writers in PA. We see it on the website, and we've got a chap in Eastern Region who's approached us about maybe doing an anthology of articles from the PA website, and I think that's a brilliant suggestion. He's going to try and put it together, and once he's got a draft, we'll look at it there, and maybe it's something we do annual, an annual anthology of the best articles from the website, and that hopefully will encourage more writers onto the website, more traffic onto the website, and just it'd be a great thing for the community. Some of these, I know Laura and Steve have been bemoaning at times that some of the articles there are absolutely fantastic and need a wider audience. So maybe putting them into a book collection like that could be the thing that does that. So that's an exciting one for me. We've also got a lady who was involved with the PA curriculum for children, talking about doing some children's books, and I think that would be amazing too. We are really encouraging people to get out of the state system and get into homeschooling, and for that, I mean, my children went through Gaelic medium education, and in the early days the resources for that were fairly poor. They're pretty good now, but we're at that. We're doing a similar thing. We're starting something very new, and it would be great if we did get kids' books published that we can use for the home curriculum. I've seen Sam in the chat says, personally, I think Scouting for Boys would be a great one to publish. Yeah, we're laughing, but if it's out of copyright, it might be one that we can go for. And I actually have a copy of that, and although I had 3 girls, we used lots of the information from that book to do cool stuff out in the woods and stuff like that, and in the garden. Yeah. Are you a big reader yourself, Chief?
To be honest with you, I do try to read a lot more. It's just when it comes to reading, I can be quite impatient because it's just like text within it, like a paper. So I'm just like, reading it, right? Okay, I'll try something else. So I do try my best to read a lot more as of late. Although it's a bit weird because growing up, I tend to read a lot more like graphic novels or like comic books. I think I don't know why. I don't know what, because I've read novels in the past before. I've read books like Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Harris, I believe the author's name was. Oh, yeah. I've read A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess, but this was all about back in high school and all of that. But I would tend to read a lot more, like, say, comics, graphic novels, maybe like manga or like Japanese comics, for those that don't know. But I think I don't understand why that would be. I think looking back on it now, and I think the reason why I would read those a lot more than, say, your regular novels or short stories, like, say, text on a paper, is because it's a lot more, like, say, visual. Yeah. There is dialogue, of course, like within the panels and whatnot, but it's a lot more of a visual type of medium. Whereas, like a novel or like a short story, it's very, you're reading it, but your imagination tends to, like, say, carries with it, if you know what I mean. So you're reading like what's being described within the pages, say like a scene or what's happening with the characters, and it's like you think in your head like how you're seeing it, kind of thing, and how it's being said or done, kind of an idea. So even with that, I am trying to read a lot more. I actually have read a lot more of the Hammer of the Patriot. So maybe just like not like exactly from beginning to end. I would just like open up a chapter because it's not like there's a chronological order like type of book with the Hammer of the Patriot. It's literally just open up a page and then there's a page that you can read just regarding to that. So I think I definitely should read a lot more. I have ordered a couple of books. I've actually got myself a copy of Animal Farm by George Orwell. It's just because because I thought I've always heard about the book. I've never actually read it, so I thought, right, I want to read a lot more. Maybe I should start with that particular book. It's quite small in length. It's not like a lengthy book or anything like that at all.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely start with that, and then of course see how it goes from there. And hopefully I'll definitely order How It Was Done by Stephen Smith, and maybe of course in the future for any future releases of Claymore Books, I'll see if I can order them as well and read them a lot more. So. So that's the thumbs up. So excellent. Rigor Mortis is in the chat as well, saying Animal Farm is a good read. Perfect. I think I remember reading bits of 1984, but again, that was like back in high school. I don't know if I still got the book for that, but anyway, I got Animal Farm, so I'll definitely see if I can start reading that at some point.
I agree with Rigor Mortis. I read it in high school as well and thought it was a fantastic book. Yeah. And I've just noticed Joe's comment. He's writing a book about the EDL, about how it could have been massive, but it's destroyed from within. If he's looking for a publisher, Joe, you know where I am, mate.
There you go. Claymore Books, yep. Perfect. Excellent. Yep. What was I going to say actually? No, I think that's pretty much it with that. Perfect. Yep. Don't forget to like the stream, folks. Thank you very much for pointing that out, Gamma Sandwich. Greatly appreciate that. Gamma Sandwich again. I shaved my beard off in this heat. What was it? No idea how Chief manages to survive in his. Well, I mean, it is still quite warm, but I think sometimes it does get a little bit chilly or cold. But of course, it's up north in Scotland, so maybe that might be the reason. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I just can't be bothered shaving it off. I don't know. I definitely need a haircut. I definitely need that. So, but anyway,
I'm very jealous of all you beardies in PA. Really am. I can grow nothing. I just go into the wind and mine blows off. So yeah, I'm very jealous. I was saying to Sam recently that if I could grow a beard, I'd definitely have one of the big Viking ones with beads and something in it. You know?
Yeah. Definitely, yes. Joe Marsh is in the chat again. Moody needs to buy himself some clippers and skin his hair, and beard looks like Grizzly Adams. Yeah, I mean, he's not entirely wrong, but I mean, it does have that grizzly look to it. But anyway,
give extra weight for the Tug of War.
Yes, gives it extra weight. Indeed, yes. Right then, I think that's pretty much it when it comes to Claymore Books. Unless, is there anything else you want to add on to that before we move on to the next topic, Kenny?
Not really. Just a shout out to all the PA regions who already have book clubs. I have a very definite curriculum that we follow with a purpose to it. That I think West Mids and East Mids have been doing. I know Eastern have theirs, or they've been doing different, but our book club has been going since way back. I think our first class was on the 12th of April in 21, and we've now in that space of that year and a wee bit we've covered the curriculum, and they're now loose and picking books themselves. So the first book that they're now doing is actually an enemy book called Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky. So that's about to start, and I thought, well, it's going to be really difficult for me reading yet another anti-book. So I thought I'll do it at the same time, and I've got myself this Rules for Radicals Defeated. So Scottish Book Club guys, I have started reading it. It is really good. So it's going to be. I'm looking forward to reading Rules for Radicals at the same time as this one, and seeing how if there's any things taught in that are in common with Hammer of the Patriot. So yeah, if your region hasn't got a book club at the moment, speak to your political officer, to your regional organizer, and I can help you get that up and running.
Perfect. Excellent. Sam in the chat was asking about the price range for how it was done. I've already put it in the chat. Is it true in saying it's between £10 to £15 to 50? But that's depending on
the paperback as opposed to the hardback.
Right.
And anybody who has bought the Hammer of the Patriot will tell you we have got a very definite look. We have got some great people involved with Claymore Books, Bill in the chat, Inextinguishable, Gordon Freeman, two other great writers for PA, and they are brilliant. But Inextinguishable, I was saying indistinguishable, but he's inextinguishable. He is very distinguishable, I can tell you. We have a shared view on what we want Claymore Books to be. We want it to produce quality works and with a definite look. Lots of people make their books all fancy so they stand out. We want our books to stand out because they're going to be uniform and regimented. So they will have lovely covers, but they're all going to have their spine that looks like can I do it? Looks like this. So when you put them on the bookshelf, you can sit them all together. There's going to be uniform sizes. The layout inside is we've got a way of working because we're passionate about books. That's it, and we want our stuff to be quality. We have proofreaders and we check things, and we make sure the final product that goes out is brilliant. The first print that we did of Hammer of the Patriot had something like 2 or 3 typos, and we were livid, absolutely livid with ourselves, and we got that sorted for the next press. We're only pressing in small batches. It's not an easy process at the moment, but it's worthwhile, and we want all our stuff to look quality, and that takes a lot of effort, and we want to make things as affordable as possible, because for us they are learning tools. They're tools that are going to help us win the fight. We've started using the tagline of read, learn, act, win, because that's what we want to do. Read the stuff, learn it. Don't just read it and throw it away. Then put into action what you've learned, and you will win. That's what these first 2 titles are all about. Getting our people back into the community.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely would keep those books, especially for like future references or whatever the case may be with that, because they can come in handy. I definitely do agree with that idea. Definitely. Excellent. Right. Well, there you go, folks. That's Claymore Books with their brand new release, How It Was Done by Stephen Smith. Of course, the link, I did pin it in the chat earlier on. So, yeah, it should be still up on YouTube. So, again, if you're interested in purchasing the book for yourselves, definitely the link is pinned within the chat on YouTube. Definitely check it out for yourselves. And, of course, let's see from there. And hopefully people might purchase a copy of How It Was Done by Stephen Smith. And keep an eye out for future releases of Claymore Books. Excellent. Now, that doesn't mean the show is over. Of course, we're an hour in the show, but we've got like another hour to go regarding to Moon of the Nation, episode 88. So, Kenny, because you're my guest for this fine evening, I do have some topics we can also talk about as of late. Now, just only maybe a couple of things we could talk about. If anything else pops up, I'm sure we can. It's kind of like a free-for-all kind of session we're going to talk about just now on that. So what I first want to discuss is this something that's been going on fairly recently when it comes to Westminster, and that's to do with Boris Johnson. So what I do know of is that he's still Prime Minister, but he's not going to be Prime Minister in September. I think they're looking for a replacement. Is that correct? Insane.
Yeah, I don't watch telly. I get a bit of news in it, but yeah, that's what it sounds like. It's a nonsense, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're not going to be the man, step aside. Stop mucking about.
Right. Yeah. It's just like I was a bit surprised, to be quite honest with you, because I kind of had a feeling it was going to happen, but I never expected it to be this quick. Although that being said, what he did during the whole lockdown time frame with him having like a champagne party or whatever the case may be, when this is the same group of people, the same government who've been for the past 2 years wanting the British people to stay in their homes because it's all safe to do so, and also take the vaccine. Never mind the fact what we've seen as of late seems to be a lot more people dying of the vaccine. Oh no, sorry, it's not the vaccine. It's something to do with, what was it, sudden adult death syndrome or some retarded shit like that. I don't know, but I mean, it's beyond ridiculous that, again, it really goes to show that when it comes to the establishment times, it's like one set of rules for thee, another set of rules for thee type of idea. So one set of rules for, let's say, the commoners, the peasants, or the common folk, if you will, and there's another set of rules for, say, Boris Johnson and his Israeli-backed like elite, if you will, which of course really shameful. And of course, no surprise there. It stormed a huge shitstorm for Boris Johnson and also the rest of the Tory party. So much so, in fact, that all the other members have pretty much left and just no want anything to do with it whatsoever. So he's going to be gone rather shortly. Again, it's somewhere in September, I believe it is. So there's of course, going to be talks about who's going to be the next Tory Prime Minister. And of course, there's been a lot of picks. A lot of people, as of late, from what I've seen, is going to be, well, it's not definite, but a lot of talks about Rishi Sunak being the next Tory Prime Minister, which, I mean, not British, but of course you can imagine that some of the Tory party are going to be like, "Oh, look, see, we're completely diverse. You know, like look at the diversity in today's day and age. You know, we're not racist or anything like that at all. It's like it's part of the agenda of trying to replace the British people. Like they do realize that, right? But of course, they know this, but they don't ever come out of the woodwork like just instantly like that. It's just all part of an even bigger sinister agenda, and everyone knows this. So this I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Rishi Sunak does become the next Tory Prime Minister, but I mean, it's just what can you do at this point, really? It's become a complete clown joke or a complete circus of a political movement in regard to the Tories and the Labour. So but see, oh sorry, you're gonna say
no, sorry to interrupt there. I was just going to say, yeah, I completely agree. Boris Johnson is an absolute buffoon, an embarrassment for that man to be Prime Minister. I don't get it at all. I can see, yeah, he'd be a guy go down to the pub and have a laugh with, maybe, but to be in charge of the country, no. Come on. And I can imagine I don't have very much in common with the Rees Mogg fellow either, but I could see myself having a laugh down the pub with him too. But again, for me, the Tories are even more vile than Labour or the SNP, and that is saying something, because I really hate the SNP. But Tories are supposed to conserve things. It's what the name suggests, isn't it? But they're going to conserve things and keep things how they are, and they're all traditional. But they do anything but. They are falling over themselves now to back BAME candidates. The fact that 6 out of the 11 candidates for the Tory leadership are non-Indigenous people. Right. It's absolutely disgraceful. And they're celebrating this. They think this is fantastic. I think it's disgraceful. No non-Indigenous people in my book should ever have any role in public office. They should not be running the country and making decisions on the lives of our people. And yet, we could end up with one of them as Prime Minister. And they've been building Sunak in particular up as being somebody, they've been talking to him as a future Prime Minister for at least 2 years now. It's disgusting. And I think, I'm trying to look here. Yes, Streaky Bacon said Mark Collett could replace him. He definitely would as leader of the country, as Prime Minister, but I'm pretty sure Mark will not defect to the Tory party, because I know he feels the same way. The Tories are scum, and the fact that they did he finally resign because yet another one of their MPs touched up a male colleague or
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah.
And he's come through so many scandals, and it actually surprises me that's the one that got him, because the Tories are quite happy for these things. I mean, is that Wallace fella? Is he a fella? Well, he is a fella, but he claims to be a tranny. Is he not a Tory as well?
I'm pretty sure he's a Tory. Yeah, they made a big deal about it. Yeah,
and they love it. They love it. You know, the rest of us are thinking, what a freak. But just it's madness, isn't it? Really. The Tories are scum, and what angers me most about them is that so many people in this country still think they're the less evil option, but they're not. Every time the Tories get in power, immigration surges. You know, they're responsible for most immigration in this country. It is insane that they have any. And that anybody still has the idea that these people are some kind of nationalist right of centre, soft nationalist option. They're exactly the opposite. It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I do laugh when I hear, especially all the lefty types talking about the Tories and within Westminster. Oh, they're fascists, they're white supremacists, they're neo-Nazis. It's like they're not. They're basically like soft Labour. That's basically what they are at this point. There's absolutely nothing conservative about them. Like they don't, as you said, Kenny, they don't preserve traditional values. They don't. They don't really conserve. They have like all these like non-British people within the Tory party, like Sunak and the rest of them. They have like a tranny being a member of the Tories, and made a big deal about it because again they've been going on this like this criticism by the left and by Labour. Oh, they're fascists and whatnot. But then, of course, they would turn around and say, "Oh no, look, see, we're pretty progressive too. Look, we got blacks, we got trannies, we got gays, and all of that. You name it. We're just as progressive as you lot." It's like, but that's not conservatism. That's anything but. Like what's conservative about you lot? Nothing. There's nothing remotely conservative whatsoever. But I do get a bit of a laugh hearing some of the lefties acting like as if like, oh, like the Tories are like the modern day like Nazi party or something like that, and it's like they're not. They're anything but that. Like they're absolutely not. It's funny that. But.
There's a couple of questions there in the comments. This is quite good actually. I don't usually look at the comments, but I've discovered in StreamYard you can change from private chat to comments, and you can see what's going on YouTube. And Gammon Sandwich has said, voting is a waste of time now. Convince me otherwise. On the whole, I'll agree. However, as we proved with the BNP, as we proved with Brexit, as Trump proved, sometimes it's not. If you put in the hard work and the groundwork, it can achieve success. Communities can be won back. The BNP had 8 councillors in Burnley. We had 12 in Barking and Dagenham, other areas, Stoke and various places. We had half a dozen of things like that. If you work hard in your community, if you really engage in community politics, you can win back your communities. And I think one of the reasons why PA is so determined to become a political party is because we're already building that community politics ethos, and we want to be the leaders of our community. We want to get involved in community groups and win back our communities. And I've said to Mark, when we get registered, and we will, mark my words, we will. We're not going to have a free for all where we're a registered political party and everybody who wants to stand gets a stand. We're going to do some things very differently. You're going to have to put the groundwork in and work in your community before we'll even let you stand. And you'll notice the difference. So we won't do likes of For Britain and get 14 votes by standing in an election and having done no work. We'll put our candidates in where they've done 6 months of groundwork in the local community beforehand, and we'll only stand if we think we're going to get a commendable vote and we've got community support. And that's the way to do it. So we won't be standing at parliamentary constituencies, we'll fight local wards and take our community back bit by bit. So yeah, for me, voting on the whole, waste of time, spoil your ballot paper, do tactical voting if you need to get some scumbag out. But, nationalist candidates. The other thing is, we've seen recent by-election stuff. 8 or 9 supposedly nationalist candidates getting up and fighting against each other. If you're all got the defence of our country and our people at heart, speak to each other, have a discussion, see who's the strongest, and all support that person locally. For me, if when PA gets registered as well, if there was another political nationalist group who was stronger in an area and we had bodies there, I would not be against PA going out and helping these people to build and get a bigger, stronger vote. And I hope other organisations would do the same. Different groups do things in different ways, but we've got no animosity to anybody who's sincere and genuine. We do get attacked by various people, and I think it's because we do things differently and we take things seriously. We have higher standards than a lot of groups. We don't grift, so community politics and voting does still have its place, but it shouldn't be the be-all and end-all for us.
Right. No, I definitely agree with that, especially in this day and age. I mean, I think it's important, regardless of which national group it is, as long as if there's a nationalist party or group that does get some support and some popularity within an area, then I do think that we should not only help them out, but I also think that it's important for them to be actually the main party within that area, if that makes any sense, of course, when it comes to that. But because I think a lot of people are just sick and tired of what's going on just now with the whole globalist agenda being pushed down people's throats, and I think people want a bit of nationalism to be brought back, whether it's PA or any other nationalist group out there for that matter. And even like I don't know if it was like, I'm pretty sure it was this year, because there was a vote, like a council election, if I remember, early this year. I went up to that just to cast my vote, and even then, like all of the what was it, like the selections, say like Labour, Tories, and all of that. I remember just looking at the paper, and I'm thinking, oh God, I don't support any one of them whatsoever. And I was actually that close a way of writing like support patriotic alternative, like just to spoil the ballot paper. I didn't do that, which, I mean, looking back, I really wish I did do that, because there really was no any political party that I just supported on that paper. And I think that's a lot of the same mindset with everyone here in Britain. People are just thinking, well, what's even the point of going up and casting a vote when none of the parties do share my values or even support what I believe in? Like they really do feel as if like they're not really being listened to, and kind of felt very alienated, and which I think is important for groups like PA, and again any other nationalist group out there, maybe like the National Housing Party. I don't know if you've heard of them before.
I've heard of the name, but I don't know anything about them, I have to be honest. Right.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, like it's just like it's like groups like that, like any nationalist group. I think people are looking for a group like that, any nationalist group out there, because at this point in time, groups like ours, we do listen to the British people. We actually do stand for the Indigenous people within these islands. And I really do hope that PA does become an official political party, because if it does, then I think it's going to become a very popular party regarding to that, because it needs to be. I think it's going to be the really big nationalist party since, I don't know, like the BNP, if I dare say, regarding to that. But we'll just need to wait and see with that. I know that might be a bit of not something a lot of people would want to hear, but again, it's just a case of we'll just need to wait and see with that. I do have a very optimistic outlook on it, and I do hope it does become an official political party, but we'll just need to wait and see with that. And I think the main thing what people need to do is continue doing what they're doing, which is going out, doing activism, say leafleting, banner drops, litter picking, anything at all to support your community. We should continue on to do that, and then hopefully it might blossom into something much bigger, but we'll need to wait and see with that, of course.
Yeah, I'm fully confident that PA will become a political party in time. The Electoral Commission are doing it feels to me anyway at the moment, everything they can to prevent that happening. They've been so difficult, but I'm confident, well, even if it means that we have to go to court to force them,
Right.
that's how determined we are. We're going to make this happen. I know people have reservations, and I'm seeing is it Grim Gwynyon in the chat there, saying, does not being a party give PA certain freedoms which they wouldn't enjoy if they were a rigid party? I'm sure it does, but being a political party also gives you access to things you wouldn't get. Sometimes leaflet distribution can be free at elections and things like that. Opens up other doors in terms of representation. There's a myriad of benefits from being a political party. A certain kudos as well. During election time, you have to be given a fair voice in the local media, things like that. If hustings are organised, PA has to be invited and given a voice. And if other groups say they refuse to stand with you, that's fine. We stand the ground, and they'll just have to cancel the meeting. Then nobody's voice will get heard. I've been an election council in the past where all the other candidates will try and stand at the other stage, and if you move near them, they'll come off the stage. It's pathetic, but we will take our chances, and we will do it. But PA isn't just about becoming a political party. We're building community. We're educating our people. But we're a multifaceted organisation with a focus on growth in all sorts of directions, and we will do. We're a white advocacy group. We will do what's best for our people. At every stage. So while we're not a political party yet, there's lots of other things we can do. We'll keep working to become one. But even when we do become a registered political party, it will not stop our community building. It will not stop our education programs. It won't stop the homeschooling. We are going to win back for our people. In every area. That's the mission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So again, definitely, I would keep a high spirits for everyone regarding to like PA or any other future group. Just a quick mention for Neil Jones in the chat. What is how it was done about Please Lads? I got here late. Basically, Neil Jones, we were talking about the new book released by Claymore Books called How It Was Done by Stephen Smith. The link is in the chat as a pinned comment. So if you're interested, then definitely have a look into that. If you're interested in purchasing the book, basically, that's basically the basic gist of it with that. Anyway, so let's move on to the next topic, which I was going to talk about just now, which is For Britain. Now, I'll definitely be honest with everyone here. I did not expect that. What happened with the yesterday's announcement. So just for a bit of context and long story short, For Britain is no longer an active political party here in Britain. Anne-Marie Waters has released a statement yesterday basically saying, the whole letter or message was basically a giant quote on her part, but basically it says that it's no longer an active party. It's pretty much done. It's finished, finito. It's not going to be around anymore. What I do have here is the actual statement itself that maybe I can actually share the screen as well for everyone to see. I'll definitely see if I can get that up here just in a moment. But honestly, I was just completely shocked by it. I don't think anyone even expected that to happen, that For Britain would become defunct at this point in time. But again, and maybe I'm not trying to come off as quite sound like a douchebag when I'm saying this, but I think for a long period of time they have slowly but surely losing more and more support, because I think people are just starting to see that civic nationalism is not really the way forward. I mean, and this is coming from me, who was a civic nat before I became an ethno nationalist, and even I kind of saw the writing on the wall that civic nationalism just. It's not really nationalism, is it? It's basically liberalism, but they just hate Muslims, or they just hate the authoritarian left. That's basically it in a nutshell regarding to that. Just before I get into reading the statement, do you have any thoughts about that just now, Kenny?
Yeah, I agree. The Civ Nats really grind my gears. They do. They're cowards, really. Most of the time when you speak to Civ Nats, they admit to being ethno-nationalists, racial nationalists, whatever you want to call it, but they think they can hide in the shadows by being civ-nats. And it's nonsense. They do no good at all. They don't espouse the policy that are needed to win back this nation. And they're gatekeepers. For me, they're pretty much as bad as the Tories. And to a man, they all shill for Israel as well, don't they? They're not really civ-nats. They're Zionist parties. And that's the big problem. So I can't say that I shed any tears, and I don't know if Big Sam is taking any credit, but it's only been 2 weeks since she borrowed Big Bertha, which was quite amusing, given how she's attacked PA, and she's saying, "Oh, they've been called bad names," and yet she was somebody who was slinging mud at PA very quickly. When we hadn't said a single thing about her. So yeah, it was quite funny that Sam had to bail her out and let him borrow the megaphone when they were so unprofessional and unprepared. And maybe that was the thing. Maybe they seen how professional and slick PA was and said, well, there's no point being in the game anymore. When we're having to borrow PA gear, might be time to throw in the towel, folks.
Yeah,
head to the drinks cabinet.
Yeah, I was just gonna say she was probably going to her local pub and getting herself a dram. That's of course a very Irish thing to do, but that's beside the point. But it's just I was just really taken aback by that. But even then, I was thinking, well, what could be like the moment where they were just like, you know what, for Britain is done. There's no point of it continuing onwards. And I'm thinking, well, what could be the possible reason for that? And I remember thinking, well, they're at a York protest with some other groups, of course, one of them being PA Yorkshire. And I remember thinking, wait a minute, Sam, I think Laura even talked about like even though Sam was the one who was there, but I think they talked about what exactly happened, especially with the microphone. And I remember thinking, oh, you don't think maybe that has to do with that? Like maybe I think even you yourself even said it, Kerry, that maybe that might play a factor into it. I'm not saying like it was the main factor, but I don't know. I just think it's really weird that a week or 2 weeks ago that protest happened, and then we get to now, or even yesterday, they decide, you know what, it's done. It's the defunct party now at this point.
Yeah, I think being realistic, I don't think it'll play a part really. They have been really struggling at elections. I think their activist base is tiny. Wherever she goes, they're begging people. I've seen, in places in Scotland and southwest of England in particular, where they were begging people to turn out. Anne Marie's coming. We need a big turnout, and then like they've got 5 people, and she's taken 2 of them along with her. So they're struggling. But I'm going to be honest. There will be good, honest, sincere people in for Britain. Yeah. And I'll hold the door open right now. If you guys are disillusioned that they've given up the ghost, come on board with PA. We want the good, honest people. Get involved. If you don't think you're full ethno-nationalist yet, come and speak to us. Have a see, and I think you'll find that we are really close to your way of thinking, and that's what we want. We want people to come on board. We want PA to be the biggest, most successful, because we want to win our country back. I do believe there'll be good people in For Britain now who are disappointed about what she's done, and will be seeking a new home. So we are here for these people, but. I imagine for them, I think somebody in the chat, I can't remember who said it, that she's been looking down on recent things. Somebody else had told me the same thing. If they've been looking at their election results, if they've been looking at the turnout at the meetings, we had a hike with 170 people on at the weekend. There are a camp with 170 people at the weekend, and like their national conference doesn't even get half that. You know what I mean? It's you're I was going to say something rude there, but Relieving yourself in the wind.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame, really, but I do feel bad for all of the supporters, but hopefully, they'll come along our side. And even as you said, Kenny, the door's wide open if they want to come and join PA. Again, if they're not really too comfortable with the whole ethno-nationalism aspect of that, again, we're open for a conversation. It's not like we're going to be like, oh, well, you disagree with us. Well, you're a bunch of cuckold douchebags. You'll fuck off. No, of course not. I mean, if they're willing to engage in a civilized conversation, I'm pretty sure we would also do the same exact thing also. So, because I mean, you can't really get anywhere if there's a bit of like division within some people, like within SIFNAS, or some people within EthnoNAS. I know SIFNAS can be a bit cringy and gay, but there are, as you said, there are some very genuine good people within civic nationalism. I think maybe even some do support our way of thinking, like ethno-nationalism, but they're too. I think it's a case they're just too fear of what the ramifications might be, and I can understand that. You know, when I first became an ethno-nationalist back in 2020, you know, I was quite a bit hesitant in becoming one. I talked about that in the speech and in the recent PA conference.
Fine speech, by the way. Fine speech.
Oh, thank you. First time ever, of course.
Second best one of the conference.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, your opinion, sure. Why not? So, but yeah, it's just like I can understand that it's something that many people might be a bit kind of iffy to talk about, because look, when it comes to civic nationalism and ethno-nationalism, it's way easier being a civic nationalist than being an ethno-nationalist, because civic nationalism, as we talked about, is basically liberalism who hate Muslims or the authoritarian left. They're basically part of or two sides of the same coin when it comes to the leftists, what the establishment really want. So they don't want them talking about, say, demographic changes or who are the real perpetrators of what's going on with today's problems, say immigration, all of that, the Jews. But you know what I mean? But because if you're somebody who does become an ethno-nationalist and actually does speak the real harsh truths of what's really going on, there's a possibility you might get your life ruined. Now, as someone who, of course, I mean, it's debatable, of course. I mean, because I'll even say, just to add on to that, I was doxxed by Hope Not Hate back in November last year. Now, I wasn't like too concerned about it, because I mean, because look, even when I first joined YouTube, like being a SIFNAT or anything like that at all, I knew for a fact that what I was walking into was a bit of a battlefield. I knew for a fact that at some point during my YouTube career, if I can call it that, I was going to get doxxed. I don't know how. It was more of a case of when rather than how, kind of an idea. And sure enough, back in November, I was doxxed by Hope Not Hate. And I mean, I'll be honest with everybody. Like, I did get a little bit worried maybe on the third day of me finding out, because I think on the day when I found out, I was actually at work, believe it or not. I was just having my half an hour lunch break, having a cigarette, whatnot. I looked through my phone, and people were talking about the new Hope Not Hate article that came out at that point about PA. So I thought, all right, I'll just have a read through and see what's up. And then I saw the part where it says social media influencers. I was like, okay. And then, of course, had people like, you know, Jody Kay, had Horace, had quite a few others that did speak about absolute state of Britain with Euro and all of that. And then, of course, it mentioned me, but not just my username. It mentioned my real name, which is, of course, Stephen Thompson at this point. Like, people, I think it's public knowledge at this point. I remember thinking, oh, so I looked at the page and I remember just seeing, there's that not infamous, but there's that photograph of me at work at the time, party with a cowboy hat on and all of that, looking quite like, I don't know if I was drunk or maybe like tipsy or anything like that, but I remember just thinking, of all the photographs they could have taken, they had to pick that one, right? Okay, but that's beside the point. The point is, yeah, I was doxxed, and all the information about, let's say, what I believe in is pretty much all out there with my previous videos and whatnot. But even then, I've not had the police come to my door. I've not had Prevent come to speak to me or anything like that. I've not had my life ruined. In fact, from November, so when I was first doxxed back in November up until now, I've been mainly working through agency work. And even then, throughout that, from then up until now, I've not had them question me about the article. I've not had the police again coming at the premises or anything like that at all. Nothing like that. Even when I'm out in public, say in a town or in a city like Edinburgh or Glasgow, I get no abuse or anything like that at all. I mean, because I mean, some people would say, "Well, you're not really a big name like content creator," which I mean, it's a fair point to make. Don't get me wrong, but I'm sure there'll be still some people that might recognize me even from the stream just now. Will be like, "Oh, are you that Chief Moody fella?" And it could go either way. It could be positive or negative. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that my life's not been completely ruined, and yet I'm still, even if after being doxxed, I'm still doing what I'm doing. So, but I might be going off a bit of a tangent, but I'll let you speak.
Honestly, I was super impressed with how you handled that whole thing. You know, I'm one of these people who've taken a bit of flack because I advocate for as many people as possible to come out publicly face. We're nationalists. We believe we have the answer to the woes of our people and our nation, and we should be proud of that. If we believe in ethno-nationalism, then we should be proud to sing it from the rafters and let everybody know. We should be proselytizing everywhere and telling people the good news. And we're not going to win if we don't do that. You know, the whole problem that's wrong with it, with CivNats on the whole for me is that they don't recognize that radical change is needed. So they try to do the softly thing. This nation is in an absolute mess. Yeah. And, you know, was it Canny Hooney, I've noticed his name, said it in the chat there. You know, they still get called racists. You know, the Tories get called racists. Yeah. If you have anything remotely traditional or nationalist, you're going to get called racist. So stop feeling it. Become what you really are and stand up for what you really believe in. And you've done that, and you've seen it's had no effect. You know, so we're not saying everybody is, you know, is going to get off, you know, scot-free like you have, but the interactions you've had, nobody has been aggressive. Nobody has been really negative. You know, you'll get people who will stop talking to you, or, you know, ignore you and things like that. But generally, it has absolutely no effect. Most, you know, I think 95% of the people who have chosen to come out public or have been doxxed have had zero negative effects. And even some of the ones who've had, you know, calls like you know, Sai, you know, he's had some issues where they've called us work, and it's made no, you know, it's had no impact really. So I think people have to get more confidence and see, and I think you've grown in confidence and stature since your doxing, and it's been you know, fantastic to see. And I really do believe that the nationalist movement on the whole pays far too much attention to what these enemy sites say. Right. Ignore them. Send them to commentary. Don't think that their readership, you know, on social media, on their website, is minuscule. And I reckon if nationalists stopped reading and stopped looking, it would be negligible what the amount of hits and views they get. It's mostly our people going to see if they get a mention, and then they get shared and get excited about it. Most of the left don't read these things. Normies don't even know they bloody exist. So, you know, if our people stopped, they wouldn't become so prominent. I hate when people get excited. Oh, what is this? There's something State of the Nation report that's coming out soon. Who cares? Don't care. They have no impact on my life because you know, I'm doing positive nationalist stuff. What they say and think doesn't matter to me. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a joke with the lefty type of groups or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Nobody ever reads up the articles or anything like that at all. It gets zero like feedback or anything like that, which is quite funny. In fact, I think some people in the chat are even saying, basically saying like the only type of people who actually do read these articles from Hope Not Hate and all of that are actually us. Which is kind of, I mean, that's the only engagement they have, which I mean is pretty funny in regard to that. So, Roll in the chat saying Chief was doxxed. Yeah, I was doxxed back in November by Hope Not Hate, which I mean, again, not really much of a big deal at this point in time, but I mean, it's happened, so the cat's out of the bag at this point. So,
and am I right in saying, Stephen, that it was through your social media again?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Which is as a recurring theme for me. Folks who build a profile online, if you want to keep your nationalism separate from the rest of your life, don't mix the two. Don't have a social media that's connected, because that pretty much in every single case is how these people do. They sit online trolling people's social media and trying to connect the dots, between usernames and emails and all sorts. So that's how it generally happens. So if you really don't want to be doxxed, dispose of your regular social media and just have a nationalist social media, or else use completely separate devices.
That's it. Yeah, definitely get rid of your Facebook, folks. I mean, that's pretty much where all those images came from, was from a Facebook. Because I remember just thinking, how did they get my Facebook account? Maybe they got it when it was active, because at this point in time, I don't really have a Facebook account anymore. Maybe it's because I don't really use it. But it's probably a good idea to not use it again, because it's just, well, for one thing, it's just complete social media vile kind of thing. It's just a complete waste of time. But
I might shock some people, but I actually think if you're open as a nationalist, I would jump on these platforms, get on them and start spreading the word on them, because the only reason I say don't go on them is because they eat so much of your time. But if you're trying to hide that the fact you're a nationalist, it's the surefire way of being exposed. But if you're confident about being a nationalist and you can bear to be on some of these platforms, they're just pure brain mush as far as I'm concerned most of the time. But we do want nationalism and nationalist ideas, nationalist thoughts, nationalist talk to be in these spheres, so we can recruit people. There'll still be people on Twitter, on Facebook, who are still possible recruits to the nationalist movement. It could be great for us. You just don't know anything about us at the moment. I think I actually saw yesterday in one of the chat groups, somebody said that this is the first time he's heard a PA, looked at the website and he thought it was brilliant. So we've still got a massive amount of work to do. Most people don't know we exist. We need to use every avenue open to us to recruit.
Yeah, definitely. Right. So let's move on to, I believe this might be the last topic we can talk about, but basically it's like reviewing a video we came across within one of the PA Scotland pages, and I did watch a little bit of it, and I believe it was from, correct me if I'm wrong in saying this, Kenny, but this video was taken at Glasgow or Strathclyde or something like that.
Paisley, I believe.
Paisley, right. So it's in Glasgow, right. Okay. So no, actually, sorry.
Don't tell that to the Renfrewshire folk.
No, well, of course not, no. But there was just something that, actually, just before we move on from that, just to kind of go back to for Britain, because there's something I've almost forgot to do in terms of reading out the statement. So I'll try to be as brief as I possibly can with that, and then we'll move on to the actual video itself. So let me see if I can share the screen or share the audio again, just in case. That should be like that. And there we go. That's the one. Hide that as well, just to make sure if people can see that. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, should be like that. That should be like that. Okay, perfect. Right, so this is the announcement by Anne-Marie Waters from yesterday. So it reads, on the 13th of July, 2022, For Britain leader Anne-Marie Waters has made the following statement on the future of the For Britain political party. This is what she writes. I am writing to tell you today with some very important news. I know you may be disappointed by this news, but I also hope you'll understand the I can't even fucking say it. Decision. For Britain has decided to cease operations as a political party with immediate effect. This has been a very difficult decision, but one that must be taken. There are a couple of important reasons for this decision, certainly from my own perspective. Firstly, support for patriotic politics has collapsed. I mean, it's not entirely really, but I think it's more to do with your camp, but that's beside the point. At least publicly, in recent years, this does not mean that the people don't agree with us. well, maybe they don't agree with civic nationalism anymore. Again, that's beside the point. So let's see. It simply means, with us, it simply means they have stopped offering support, especially public support. So successful has been the campaign of fear and propaganda for our opponents that that's pretty much the end of that. Okay, so basically the entirety of that whole statement is basically a complete cope, to say the least with that. Anyway, what I think we'll move on from there regarding for Britain. Let's not move on to the actual video itself, which I do have right here. So that would be in the folder for episode 88. Close that. Let's see here. Oh, one sec. Oh, that's 84. My bad. Let me see. I wonder. I do have it saved somewhere. Where have I saved it? Hold on a sec. It's a video. That might be actually. Right. Let's see here. Right. Let me just pause it just real quick. Now, the video itself, as we talked about, this was in Paisley. So from what this is supposed to be some kind of like trans rights activism in Paisley. Is that correct, Kenny? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Paisley is one of the big towns in the west of Scotland, just west of Glasgow, and somebody posted in the Scottish community chat the other day, and it was horrifying. I don't actually want to say much more until people have seen it themselves, but I probably will mute myself when it was on so people can't hear the retching.
Yeah, right. Let's have a look at this. So this video is about just over 2 minutes long. So we'll just play it in its entirety and then we'll come back and then give our thoughts about that. So let's have a look at this. So 3, 2, 1.
Ryan!
My house. I need to run. I'll catch you soon.
Catch you out.
Oh, thank God it's over. Right. Okay. Let's have a let's have a look at that here.
Was that not the ugliest bunch of mutants you've ever had the misfortune to see in one place?
I mean, that was just. It's like something you would see in like a parody or like a satire, or something that we would make up as a way of making fun of them, but it's not. It's 100% real. Like,
did they actually think that was going to win recruits to the cause? Can you imagine what one of these wee people who are being brainwashed in the schools at the moment, thinking, "Oh, you should transition," And then he clocks that video, goes, no way am I joining that bunch of mental cases. I'm staying a laddie, you know.
Yeah, I've also noticed watching that video, there's some people, especially with the guy, like the tall, skinny gentleman who was, well, I don't know if he goes by gentleman, like pronouns and shit, but he was wearing like a a red jacket. He looked just very uncomfortable being there. I mean, it was almost like as if he was like kind of forced to be there, or well, maybe not forced, but he was like, well, I want to portray myself as progressive, but I don't know if I really support this, but I don't want to look as like a total bigot. Like
the whole thing was just bizarre, wasn't it? You know, there wasn't a bonny one amongst them, really. I'm no handsome or picture, no picture myself, but my goodness me, that was just horrific. And it's the fact for me. You know, when I first moved down to mainland, I did spend a fair bit of time in Paisley, and you know, I remember back in the 90s, it was a fairly rough place, and now you're getting marches like that through. You know, it just wow, and the fact that, you know, back in the day, people would say, you know, clear off, you know, stop your nonsense. But now they're getting a police escort parade, and even the policeman there, I thought. He looked like he was one of them. I have to say. It's just yeah. It's actually quite scary when you can see that they've got that much confidence to be on the street and promoting it so in your face. But for me, that just it's not an advert for them. And if you know. I've seen a wee bit of feedback. People were local people in Paisley, you know, were calling them freaks and weirdos, and you know, said that, you know, we were wetting ourselves laughing as they marched through. That, yeah, it was just it's bizarre. It's bizarre.
It's just. I mean, I even loved that part of the video where they were chanting like stand up, fight back, or something like that. Because obviously they try to portray themselves as the victims, like they're being attacked constantly. It's like, who's attacking you? The only group of people who's attacking you are yourselves, because just look at the fucking suicide rate. I mean, just like, I mean, that may sound like really horrible to say, but it's true. I mean, the suicide rate within the trans community is just it's just awful. And that's merely because they found out when they do transition from one gender to another, they realize, fuck, I made a terrible fucking mistake.
Massive. And
it's like they can't exactly transition back, because that's a bit of a life-changing decision right there. So they realize, well, I mean,
destroying themselves physically and mentally is, you know, it's incredible. But for me, the evil at the moment is the fact that they're pushing so hard in the schools at young kids. You know, the Scottish government, for example, are telling you, well, you know, if you want to transition, come to your teacher. We'll help you do it, and we'll keep it away from your family. That's scary. And you know, there's some of their politicians denying it. I seen a great video on No Chance's Odysee the other day. I don't know if you've seen that. where the SNP politicians to the door, and he got absolutely roasted by this bloke, and he was denying. He says, "No, you're talking rubbish. It's on your website." And the end, then you know, he gets the MSP chased. It's just class. So yeah, a great share from No Chance there. But yeah, it's horrific, the agenda they're pushing. There's a big demonstration in Glasgow on the 23rd of July. For people to stand up for kids. A lot of people who've been involved in the freedom movement are going, and, you know, people who have got the interest of children. So, you know, if you're in Scotland and you're free on Saturday the 23rd, get to Glasgow. If you search on social media, you'll see it. I can't remember the headline it's going under, but you know, I think there's demonstrations going across the UK actually for this. It's part of these worldwide walks for freedoms, a march for freedoms thing, and this is particularly against the transgender agenda. So yeah, get if you're in Scotland, get yourselves to Glasgow for the 23rd.
I was just going to say, is it not the WWD 9, or is this is the one you're talking about? It's going to be in Glasgow Green at 1 p.m. We're doing it for the kids, obviously, like protesting against what's being used for all the propaganda stuff and all of that. And I believe I'm going to be attending at that protest because that's something I do. Even though I don't have any kids myself, but I hope one day I do become a dad, by meeting the right person one day. Because if I was a dad myself, I would not be approving of stuff like this, especially what the schools are doing, which is teaching them this type of stuff to your kids, but want the parents have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
That's deeply concerning. I mean, that like the fact that the state thinks they can raise your children, but not you, the biological parents. That's really worrying. That definitely worrying. That.
Yeah, I mean, the SNP did try to introduce that named person legislation that got the boot, but yeah, their whole agenda is horrific. You know, they're wanting to take the education and the moral guidance for the nation's children away from parents and indoctrinate them with their Marxist filth. It's really scary stuff. And we're being attacked on every front. You know, it's in the schools, it's in employment, it's absolutely everywhere. You know, on the media and the television, it's in everywhere. It pervades into every facet of life, and it's evil. And that's why we fight on. We get involved on every sphere because they are everywhere as well, and we've got to fight it everywhere too.
Yeah, definitely. So I would definitely say to people who are in Glasgow or maybe near Glasgow or even anywhere in Scotland, please come to that event and definitely show your disapproval of what's being pushed within the education system. Because I mean, it's really bad stuff, like just awful stuff. In fact, and I think that the best thing to do is definitely push against it. So I'll definitely see if I could be there with some of the guys from PA Scotland. I know some of the guys from the Central Branch, especially, are going to. I think some of them are going to be there, but we're definitely going to see if we're going to attend to this event as well.
It's kind of big to your local branch. The Central Scotland branch are doing fantastic, and it was great to see you guys at Falkirk Football Stadium the other night. It's a long time since nationalists in Scotland have been leafleting and stuff at football grounds. I believe you just got a really good response, and it helped Falkirk give Hibs a shock as well.
I'm assuming so too. Yeah.
And an ex-Partick player, Kenny Miller, picked one of the leaflets, I believe, from you guys as well.
Yeah, well, the main, of course, again, I can't say his name because he's not a public figure, but the head of the Central Region organizer, he was the one who gave the leaflet to Kenny Miller. Now, I'm not a football fanatic myself. I know some of my family members are, my granddad, my brothers are, but I'm not. If it's a Scotland game, sure, I'll watch it, but I'm not like pro Rangers, Celtic, or Falkirk, anything like that at all. But he gave a leaflet to Kenny Miller, and he was just like, "Oh, I gave one to Kenny Miller," and I'm just like, "Okay, who's that?" Like, he's like, apparently he was like really big within Rangers and Celtic.
Yeah, played for Rangers and Scotland.
Scotland, yeah.
Finished his career with Thistle. Came to Thistle and was very good for us.
Ah, right. Fair enough. So yeah, during that whole leafleting run, it was a good positive response for the black ones, the living crisis one. There was only the cost of living. Yeah, there was only one person who liked it, but he gave it back to us because he disapproved the word Brit within the leaflet. And I just remember thinking, like, does that even like matter exactly? Like, we're okay, we're Scottish, but we're still British. I mean, okay, like maybe I just think it's such a childish way of like, oh well, I agree with it, but it's got the word Brit in it, and I can't really accept that. It's like, why do you care about that? It's happening all across Britain, Scotland, England, Wales, etc.
Well, when you consider the country is so heavily split, the 55% of the population support the union and 45% support independence, you're going to get across that. So, right. That is one of the things for us. If we localize our leaflets a bit more, the funny thing is we actually have got a Scottish version of that leaflet, but Si was so keen to get it out. He got the first batch were produced with with Britain in it. But yeah, the future batches we have got it with Scottish in it. We also now have a Scottish PO box.
Right.
As well, which I think is very important that we are seen in Scotland to be Scottish based and Scottish activists. But yeah, we are part of the big family. You know, we're the indigenous people of these isles, and you know, we're also Europeans as well. You know, we're not pro EU, but you know, we support white people worldwide, and that's very important for us. So yeah, I don't get that kind of thing, but I understand why it happens. So we have to tailor our work for that, really, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Right then. So I actually can't believe it. We're coming towards the end of the show. It's approaching 6 minutes till 7. Can't believe, well, I mean, time flies when you're having fun, right? So
yeah, enjoy that.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad to hear that. So I don't know about everyone else within the chat. I think Cyborg is in the chat as well. PA Talk, cost of living leaflets have Scottish PO box. So that should be at the back, I'm assuming, right? Of the leaflets. Yeah, perfect. So I wonder what everyone else thinks of tonight's episode. I know this is like the first time back, especially having Kenny as a guest for tonight with Claymore Books and whatnot. I'll definitely will be coming back on Sunday for episode 89. And I don't know what I'm going to be doing for that episode, but we'll definitely keep you guys posted for that. Chiefly, it's coming to an end. I'll be catching up later. Yeah, through like playback and whatnot. I'll also mention, I'll see if I can also post this episode on Odysee. I know it was only live on YouTube. There was a bit of an issue I had with StreamYard in terms of my packages and whatnot. So because normally I'm able to stream multiple platforms at the same time. At the moment I can't, so that's why it's only YouTube exclusive, kind of. But even then, hopefully later on tonight, if not tomorrow, it will be uploaded onto my Odysee channel as well. So
big fan of Odysee. Yeah,
yes.
I really watch anything on YouTube. I wait for it to be uploaded to Odysee. So yeah, I hope you do that, bud.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. Hopefully, again, later on tonight, if not tomorrow at the very least, at least with that. I was also thinking as well, there's something I should ask Mark or Laura, because I know my speech is up on the official PA Odysee channel as well. I never thought about this until now, but I don't know if it could be a good idea to upload it onto my actual YouTube channel. Because I just never thought about up until now, because it's like... Because it's
go for it if you want to run the risk. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not. It was a brilliant speech, mate, and you know, like I said, I advocate putting our message out wherever we can. But you know, I think pretty much all the PA channels have been booted from YouTube, even though we didn't break the guidelines. So.
Right.
Yeah, maybe. have a chat with Mark and see what he thinks. Man.
Yeah, I'll drop him a message later on and see if they're okay with that. So I don't know if they're still watching just now. Maybe they might leave a message at the moment, but I'll definitely leave them one and see if they're okay with that. If I can download the video, then maybe I can upload it to my YouTube and whatnot. Because I've already shared it on my Odysee, but again, YouTube being still a bit of a bigger platform. Might be ideal to have that on there. I don't know, but we'll definitely see with that. So, but other than that, episode 88 will be up on Odysee later on, if not tomorrow. My speech, I'll post it at some point this week. We'll definitely wait and see with that. So, excellent. Well, I think again that's going to be end of tonight's episode. Do you have any final words before we end tonight, Kenny?
No, I just thank you very much, Stephen. I absolutely had fun, and it 2 hours absolutely flew by. And yeah, hello and thanks to everybody in the chat as well. Some good contributions there. And yeah, thanks very much. Good to get your show back up and running again, mate.
Excellent. I also just want to give a bit of a shout out to a couple of people as well. I have received some donations throughout the episode tonight, which is really good on Coffee or PayPal, I think it was, which again is really good stuff. So I think Roscoe was the first one who donated £14, which I mean, pretty based. So thank you very much for your contribution there, Roscoe. I believe also a couple more people, and Sally followed me on Coffee and also sent me a donation as well. Greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much for that as well. And finally, Rory Herbert has sent a donation as well. Again, thank you very much for that. So greatly appreciate that. Hopefully everyone enjoyed tonight's comeback episode, if you want to call it that, with episode 88. I'll be back with episode 89 this coming Sunday. Again, I'll have a look and see what I can maybe do for that episode. Maybe have another guest on, or maybe talk about something completely different. I'm not entirely too sure, but we'll definitely wait and see with that. But until then, this will be the end of tonight's episode. I believe Mark will be live on Edward Dutton's show at 7 p.m. So if anyone's interested, give that a watch if you want to. If not, Wesley will be up with Renewed Britannia on DLive, which I'm sure for those who follow him on DLive, check him out as well if you want to.
Good show.
Yeah, definitely. And that's going to be the end of that. Now, of course, normally what I would do is, because you're the guest of tonight's episode, Kenny, I should have asked you at the start, is there any particular song you want to end the show with?
Oh, there probably was, but whether you find them, I don't know. I listen to a lot of Chris Knight, an American singer-songwriter. I don't know what would be a good one for him. Have a look any Chris Knight songs on YouTube. That'd be a good shout for me.
All right.
Down the River's a great song. Might be a little long, but I quite like Down the River.
How do you spell his name, if you don't mind me asking?
Chris, Chris Knight.
Of course. I would have thought that.
Knight of the Realm, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Chris with a C, Knight with a K.
Let's see here. Chris Knight. So there's songs
I forgot you
like...
do that.
I've got songs like Down the River, Enough Rope. Let's see here.
Yeah, Enough Rope's good ones too. Yeah, Down the River's brilliant.
All right. Yeah. I think we'll play Enough Rope. That might be the shortest one of it, just so we can end it like that. So, yeah, perfect. Anyways, folks, thank you all very much for watching tonight's episode. I greatly appreciate your support. I actually didn't think I would get as much people watching tonight's episode, but judging from what I've seen within the chat, a lot of people are happy to see me back, which I'm really happy for. So I'll definitely see if I can come back with a lot more episodes. We'll definitely see with that. So until then, this is Chief Moody signing out. You have been watching the Mood of the Nation podcast, and please check out the new book, How It Was Done by Stephen Blake on Claymore Books. And of course,
Stephen Smith, don't give Blake any credit for that.
Stephen Smith, my bad, sorry.
I actually forgot. Steve Blake is actually part of the Claymore team. I keep forgetting to mention him. He is actually part of the team.
Excellent. But Stephen Smith, correction there with that. So, and also thanks again, Kenny, for being the guest for tonight's episode. I'm sure I'll have you back on a future episode. We'll definitely see you with that. Till then, thank you guys very much for watching. See you on Sunday with episode 89. Take care, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of your fine evening. Thank you and good night.
Night, folks.
Well, I work for the city in a town where I grew up. Some days I run a backhoe, some days I run a dump. If I had other plans on my graduation day, then several years ago I guess I hauled them all away. Yeah, I hauled them all away. She told me she was pregnant on the day I turned 18. And I did what you're supposed to do. I bought her a ring. He didn't have to ask us, but he asked us anyway. We stood up and said I do. What else were we gonna say? What else were we gonna say? Well, I'm thankful for the things I have and all the things I don't. And I've got dreams that will come true, and I got some that won't. Most of the time I just walk the line wherever it goes. 'Cause you can't hang yourself if you ain't got enough rope. My boss man is a mayor. I do just what he asks. I mow the courthouse lawn, watch the prisoners walking past. I'm happy to be working instead of wearing chains. Like my cousin Willie, he's locked up in the Grange. He's locked up in the Grange. But I'm thankful for the things I have and all the things I don't. And I got dreams that will come true. I got some that won't. Most of the time I just walk the line wherever it goes. 'Cause you can't hang yourself if you ain't got enough rope. Well, there's a tavern down the highway. I go to drink some beers and wash down all I'm missing by hanging around here. Then I drive back to the trailer. I'll make up with my wife. I kiss my sleeping children. Then I get on with my life. Yeah, I get on with my life.